Okay, we got a Superflo by Pentair. We got the motor shaft seal is leaking on this one. So we're gonna go ahead and take this thing apart and replace the shaft seal on it. Undo your 4 bolts here first to separate the seal plate from the wet end, and then what you want to do is pull off your pump diffuser. So you can take these out, pull that off. Once you get that pulled out, you go ahead and undo your 1/4-inch bolts that hold on your diffuser. You pull that diffuser off, that exposes your impeller. And what you want to do with your impeller is you want to hold the impeller and take this screw out. This screw is a reverse threaded screw, which means to actually loosen it, you're going to turn it clockwise, and to tighten it counterclockwise. It's a reverse thread, so when the pump turns, it keeps it nice and tight on there. So we'll go ahead and take that out and get the impeller off by holding the back of the motor shaft. Okay, once you pulled your diffuser off and you got your reverse thread screw out of the impeller, then you can hold the back of the shaft. Usually on these motors you can get a screwdriver in there and hold it inside those fan blades, as long as this isn't on too tight. And then you can spin this off, expose your seals. And now that the impeller's off, what you want to do is go ahead and get in there and get this thing cleaned out. You see all this trash that's in there? So you can go ahead and get something in there, a real small screwdriver or some picks, a little pick set. Here's the picks I use here. You can get something like these in there to go ahead and get all the junk cleaned out of the impellers. And then what we'll do after that is go ahead and pull your seal plate off so we can get to the back of the seal. And you take that out by removing these 4 bolts on the motor that go into the seal plate. So we'll go ahead and get that removed. Okay, we removed our 4 bolts that hold that seal plate on to the motor. Then go ahead and pull the seal plate off. Sometimes you got to use a little bit of force or lightly tap it. And then this is also a good spot where spiders like to hide too. That looks like a brown widow there. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're pulling these off. Here's the old seal that actually goes onto the shaft through there. This is one part of the seal, and this actually goes up against the impeller. So when it goes in there, it goes in just like that onto the shaft. That part in here, this other part of the seal, usually from the back side, you could take something maybe like a screwdriver and push it out, and there it is. And then wipe that up, get it all cleaned up, and then we're getting ready to put a new seal in and start putting everything back together. Yeah, we got our new seals here, 200 seal for the Superflo. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Wipe everything down really good, even around the seal plate here. You're gonna have your O-ring that needs to get put back on here, your gasket. You want everything nice and clean. I've put these back together before and ended up having a grain of sand in there, and it starts leaking. Real pain in the rear. So make sure everything's nice and clean before you start putting everything back together. And when you're going to put your seals back in, make sure you keep that face of that seal nice and clean. You don't want any dirt, debris on that, because that's what seals around the shaft. And a good thing to note when you're putting these back together, these seals have a rubber side and a ceramic side. And what you always want to do is on your seal plate, the ceramic facing out, you want ceramic touching ceramic. So it'll go just like that. And then this rubber part here goes up against the impeller. But if you put these in backwards, it'll burn that rubber up quick and the pump will start leaking again almost immediately. So always remember, ceramic goes to ceramic. Now that you got your shaft seal back in there, we're ready to mount it back to the motor. So that will go over your shaft. And make sure the seal plate, there is a top on there. It says top. So make sure that goes to the top of the motor. And then you can go ahead and put your bolts back in, tighten that down, and then we'll get our impeller back on. Okay, now you got your seal plate bolted back down. So go ahead and put the second part of your seal set on there. Remember, ceramic to ceramic. Get that on there. And then we can go ahead and get the impeller. Now the impeller, keep tightening that down and it will squeeze that shaft seal together, because that one part had the spring on it, so it'll squeeze that down together. We'll get that all tightened down and then put our reverse thread screw back in. So you'll put that in and turn it to the left counterclockwise to tighten it. Remember, reverse thread. Okay, we got our impeller back on, reverse thread screw. Now we are going to get our O-ring here for the seal plate. Get that real clean. Get all this really clean. You don't want any sand, grit, anything on there. Go ahead and get the wet end all nice and clean as well around there where it seals together. And then we are going to lube it up with some magic lube here. Go ahead and lube your O-ring up real good before you put it back together. And then go ahead and put your diffuser back on. We got that screwed back down. And this actually has an O-ring too. Go ahead and lube that up a little bit. And then we will stick the motor back in. Tighten it down. Alright, get your 4 bolts snug back. And go ahead and prime up the pump. Fill the basket back up with water before you start it. You don't want to damage the new seal you just put in. Alright, got your pump basket filled back up. Get your lid on. And then go ahead and fire it back up. And double check the bottom underneath for leaks. Okay, we got the pump running. Double check down there. Don't see anything dripping. You are good to go.